better idea of how scientific experimentations have gone. So if you're not there already, go ahead and go to Google Classroom so that you can see our assignment for today.
All right, guys, we're going to go to classwork, and then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to Good Lab, Bad Lab, and there you have your copy of it. So go ahead and open up your copy of Good Lab, Bad Lab right here. So everybody just take a minute and find that activity. All right, guys. So since you've watched that video and you've got a better sense of what qualifies as a good quality, investigation, a lab, an inquiry process, we're going to look through some of these labs that we have, 3, 4 examples here. And what you're going to do is you're going to read about them. There's really not that much information about them. Really not enough to really come out and completely say this is a great lab or bad lab. But just with the limited information we give you and the pictures, there's some good things and there's some bad things in these labs. And what we want you to do is we want you to spot them. So what you're going to do is you're going to look over these examples here. Look at the pictures too, because there's clues in the pictures as well. And what we want you to do is say if it's a good experiment or a bad experiment. For example, this one, you look at this picture, we have 4 test subjects here that are visible to us, and they have a brief description, and they're going to say, okay, is this a good experiment or a bad experiment? Now, if you're going to say it's a good experiment, basically it means that you don't see any sort of problem with this experiment. Like it's legitimate, it's good, and what I mean by that is there's nothing that's going to affect its reliability. So if you see a problem where you're like, it's not a good comparison, you could see something else besides what you're testing could be affecting it, then you would want to say that it's a bad lab. If you think that, hey, there's nothing besides what they're talking about that's going to affect the results, then you'd say it's a good lab. So let's take a look at this first one here together, and then I'll kind of let you guys go and work on the other ones. If you look at this experiment, it says an experiment was done to see the effects of coffee on energy level. So what they're doing right there is they're giving you a lot of information just in that first sentence. They're saying, okay, each person, you can see everybody's got their coffee mugs right there. So we know that all 4 of these people are getting coffee, right? Now what they're going to do is see how that affects how much energy those people have. So basically, what I'd want to know is it's just the coffee affecting, their energy level, right? Now looking at the picture and this little description here, we should be able to go on. So coffee was given to a group of people, and then researchers record how often they felt tired throughout their work day. Based on this description and the amazing drawing above, you'll understand a little bit more of why I'm saying that a little bit here. You're going to say, okay, good lab, I see no problem at all. That's a really good lab, and I'll be able to tell how coffee affects, their energy level. Or bad lab, you see some sort of issue where you can't really trust the lab in itself. It might have been a good lab, but the way they did it, there's a big problem, and there's something in there that's going to affect those results, right? So if you say good lab, what elements of it made it so good? If you say bad lab, what elements of it made it, a bad lab? Okay, what was the problem? And I know sometimes you guys are thinking like, okay, I wouldn't want to say completely good or completely bad. It was just, it was just okay. Well, I mean, explain that to us. If you feel like you want to answer something different besides good lab or bad lab, just be like, I was a little bit in between. Just explain your answer for number 2. Give us a full thought. So we want definitely for number 2 full sentences. I could understand for number 1 you guys not giving us a full sentence, but for when you get to number 2, give us a full sentence. Okay. Once you get that one done, just go on to the next lab. We get another drawing, and they tell us that we've got our 15-year-old, 20-year-old, 25-year-old. You got your pictures, you got a description here, and then you got good experiment, bad experiment, and then make sure you fully explain your answer there. So again, when you get to number 4, the second part, full sentences. You get a little different drawings here. They start talking about amoeba cells, and they talk about the kind of light that the amoeba cells are in. The description is pretty important. and then make sure you go on. Good experiment, bad experiment. Number 5, really full sentences. For number 4, I gave you mostly a graph. A little tiny, like, just, actually, no, not even a description underneath. Let's say a graph, or well-done scientific graph can give you pretty much all the information you need as long as you read the title and the sides. You can kind of get a whole idea of the lab almost from just looking at the graph without a description. And right from there, you should be able to say, okay, a good experiment, bad experiment, and explain your answer. Okay. Ms. Oberson, anything you'd like to add before we have these guys go ahead and have some working time on this? Okay, so what I'm going to do is we'll be here. We're going to give you guys some time to work, but give us a message in the chat or email us if there's something that you want to go over or ask about these labs, these scenarios. Okay, and we're going to come back together in a little bit to discuss some stuff.